Hey everyone, so as you know, we've been using several different sources of information to choose search locations between Donna's locations, input from people who might email us or contact us, mediums or not. We take information from people just where they think maybe is worth searching. There's also our own research, um, online, YouTube, whatever information we get, we try to find try to put things together and just look at maps and figure out where the best locations are to go next. We aren't stopping Donna's locations. We did touch on the trestle, the train trestle, the 1907 train trestle that we turned around because there were homeless folks there. I'm gonna go return there and search the river. I tried to do that actually last week, um, but the water had come up really high because of the rain. I'd really like to search that area when the water's down, and when I can try to get over to the islands. Actually, I want to do a trip where with waders on, maybe using a kayak, go down the river like Donna had suggested, and touch on all the islands there, edges of the river. Can't do that for a little while. It's snowing. There's snow out right now. That's why I'm actually doing this video, because I want to show you um, the other the map-based, information-based line of research that we do to choose a location. I want to show you the logic for where I'm going next. This is after Laurel Run. I know this is very strange because I'm doing this now before we've completed Laurel Run. But like I mentioned in the short video I posted today, actually, or yesterday, I think, by the time you watch this, we have more work to do to close out the Laurel Run part of the investigation. Unfortunately, the Laurel Run investigation doesn't prove anything specific about Summer Wells or where she is, but it helps with the suspect list, with understanding who the most likely folks are that are involved. Not that that's a core part of what we're researching, but it's something that's important because it helps us look at directions where to go based on the people who are probably at the top of the suspect list. In this case, this trip that I'm going to be taking next will be in parallel with us finishing up the Laurel Run research. The Laurel Run research is essentially talking to some people, finally contacts that are very credible, that will help fill in the gaps and help us understand the story behind all of the Fred Hill claims in Laurel Run. While we're doing that, I also want to start doing the next leg of our research, of our searching, which in addition to the Donna locations, any locations from viewers, this one is a research based and a input from some viewers who sent us a location. They are mediums. I'm not going to share their names because they wanted to remain private, but it's actually a family of 3 people who all have some abilities, and there's a location here in connection with the research that looks very promising. I'll show you why. I'm going to walk you through the research, my own kind of tracing through locations that ended up matching the final location to start at that this viewer sent us. It's really interesting, and it starts out from a location that came from, of all places, a JLR video of a neighbor. His name was Jeremy, I think, who made the claim, and several people told me about this claim that Candace was seen going up Light Hollow Road. That's been circulating for a while. Not saying that we believe Candace is a prime suspect, but that rumor put me in this direction, really to look at Light Hollow Road to see why it would even be important. What would be up there? What's up Light Hollow Road? That's a starting point. That starting point ended up connecting with this information from a viewer, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to start it with Google Earth at that location, and then I'll show you the logic and what I'm talking about. All right, so on Google Earth, I started off looking at Light Hollow Road. Down the street from Ben Hill, not very far. The rumors are that Candace was seen going up Light Hollow Road. Um, and Light Hollow Road, if you follow it, goes kind of up this valley, around a curve, pretty isolated toward the end. You'll notice Beech Creek starts up here. Now, most creeks, actually most waterways actually start at the top of a mountain. The water from the rain obviously collects at the top of a mountain and then starts your waterways. Beech Creek essentially starts up the top of this mountain near Light Hollow Road, and you can see the Google Earth is really good for tracing these waterways because it labels the waterway. And you can see Beech Creek comes down here and then goes along Light Hollow Road right down here past this pond. I don't know if the pond is part of it, probably is, and then Beech Creek continues down this other road. It could actually be a driveway, a long driveway. I'm not sure, but it goes to private residences. But basically Beech Creek comes down here and eventually comes down alongside 347. The fact that Beech Creek starts up Light Hollow Road right up here made me, that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing was the information from this family of mediums essentially highlighted Beech Creek as an important waterway. Could be for a lot of reasons. Could be that whoever was involved with the Summer Wells disappearance, at some point something was potentially dumped maybe into Beech Creek. That's just a guess, just speculation. But if it was, then it makes Beech Creek important because wherever something was dumped, evidence or anything at all that was dumped there would be washed away, would be swept in the stream. So I wanted to look at what the path was for Beech Creek. Where does it start? Where does it go? On this site called anyplaceamerica.com, you can actually see a full map of Beech Creek. And this is it right here. These red arrows show you the entire path from the beginning at the top of the mountain all the way until it empties into the river. What I wanted to do was look at the most likely or most possible locations where something could have been dumped, looking for places that are isolated, not within sight of a private residence, not close to a well-traveled roadway. And so to do that, obviously, if you look at this map of Beech Creek, it does start at that mountain, like I said, goes down to like the Light Hollow Road, follows it a little ways, and then goes down to Beech Creek Road, through this kind of valley, private property up here. And let's look back at Google Earth, and you can see what that looks like. That's essentially up here. The only connection, the only way someone could get to it would be along Light Hollow Road as Light Hollow Road meets it. And so this is Beech Creek down here along the road. There are private residences, maybe a little isolated down here, this area here. But again, creeks don't start out very wide or deep. So it wouldn't be as likely, I don't think, would be as likely to dump something or try to wash away something where it starts, because it wouldn't be quite that large. Although we may take a drive up there and take a look at what the creek looks like. But based on Google Earth, it follows this stretch. Now this is pretty isolated of Light Hollow Road. Suppose someone could pull along the side and dump something into the creek there. But it crosses near private property on the other side of that isolated section. I believe it goes into this pond or near the pond, and then continues down this roadway all the way down to 347, to Route 347. Now we're going to trace Beech Creek. I'm going to go as fast as I can because I don't want to make this too boring, but I want you to see the likelihood of locations where things could potentially be tossed into there without being seen, without being noticed from the road or from a private property. Once Beech Creek starts going along 347, you'll see there aren't that many opportunities. There's a lot of private property. The creek goes behind private property. And again, we're going to follow the path of this route here. You can see from this red map of Beech Creek, there are some crossings, so we'll take a look at those, but it follows 347 for the most part, and again, some other crossings here. This crossing, interesting enough, is at Fields Road, so we'll take a look at that one. Fields Road is one of the videos we made, was actually down Fields Road all the way to this point. Interestingly, Jen did pick up on something there, but we thought it was potentially up Fields Road, up to the mountain or a location up there. But it's impossible to know. It's interesting that Beech Creek does cross Fields Road at that point. So let's go back to Google Earth and follow 347. This is a Ben Hill Road. This is basically Beech Creek goes right by there. There's Ben Hill Road, and Beech Creek continues along 347. Again, all this stretch would be right near a well-traveled road. Lots of cars going by frequently. You have to consider this would have been between 3:15 and 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon to 6:30 or 7. So unless it's at a time later when summer could have been moved. But again, we're just going to look at likelihood, public, that are isolated locations, not very well seen, or where something like that happening could be seen. So Beech Creek keeps going along 347. Beech Creek Road. Again, private properties here. Beech Creek is going along here, right through private property, well in view of everything. And it continues. That's Fields Road. So if you look at the crossing at Fields Road, it's a bridge. There's a house here, house out here. Whoever, you would essentially have to pull over here or here and try to kind of secretly toss something in the creek there. Again, wouldn't be an ideal location in my opinion, and I don't think someone trying to stay hidden would do that. So let's keep following the creek. It's back end of fields, private property, well in view of houses. It keeps following the road. Another bridge. House right here, house right here. Open field. Let's keep following Beech Creek. This whole stretch of Beech Creek you can see is just open fields. Very visible, even along McMillian Road. There's another bridge there, but again, well in view. Very hard to hide in a place like that. Out in the open. Follows the edge of this field. Beech Creek, right there, right there. There's a bridge there on the main road that it crosses, but again, house right there and a house right there, and lots of traffic. There's another bridge. Out in the open, lots of houses around. Another bridge, lots of houses around. I think that might actually be a driveway or a long driveway or road to a private residence. That would be well noticed, anyone hanging around those areas. Creek comes along here. Okay, so now we're at Van Hill Road, Beech Creek Road. Let's take a look at our map again to see where we are. Followed it all the way out here. McMillian. There's Van Hill, see that? Van Hill, Beech Creek. So where this bridge is, if we take a look at Van Hill, that's this bridge. Right here. But we need to keep following 347. Again, Beech Creek keeps following that road, so we're going to keep following it as well. Tunnel Road, I think, is coming up next. There's Tunnel Road. Tunnel Road. And eventually, Beech Creek crosses Beech Creek Road again. Right over here. You can see, again, there's lots of houses, well-traveled road. Not very likely of someone trying to do something secret around there. Curves around, keeps following Beech Creek. There it is. There's the creek. Private property. Big field. There's Beech Creek right there along the road. Now this is fairly isolated, I suppose, this stretch right here, but again, it's a well-traveled road. So Beech Creek keeps following a very well-traveled road. It's still right there. Bridge. What's that? Butchfield. Bear Hollow. I believe that is Brown Mountain Road, which we have a video on. We actually drove up there at one point, but this is Bear Hollow. That's Brown Mountain Road. Right there. But again, just keeps following the main road. Long Bend. Webster Valley. So this is that stretch. It goes near Webster Valley. It goes near Webster Valley right there. So that would be one spot. Actually, it's pretty isolated. Not near the main road. Hidden. So potential spot there, I suppose. And then the creek goes away from that Webster Valley Road and then back near it further on. Goes out here. And there. Back near it. Again, that's another isolated spot. By this point, the creek is pretty big, pretty fairly wide and deep, so something would flow down there if dumped in. And it goes far away from any main road. It returns near it again. Up here, but that's a lot of houses around, and it's far from the road. And then eventually it crosses. And that would be right up here. Now that could be a spot. Pretty far from anything. The nearest house is across this field. Oh, that would be hard, actually. That could be visible from this house. Even if somebody parked over here on the other side of this house, so probably not very likely there. Then if you keep going in Webster Valley, you eventually hit Tunnel Hill Road. And again, the creek is just following along there. The next nearest spot is along Tunnel Hill Road. So let's take a look at that one. There's the creek. Tunnel Hill, and then there's where it goes near the creek again. That's fairly isolated, so that's another potential spot, maybe. Again, the creek is flowing down this way toward the river. It goes far from the road. Tunnel Hill Road goes this way and then eventually crosses again. So I'm going to follow Tunnel Hill until the next crossing. That's an interesting one right there. That's a deep ravine into the creek. That's interesting. Didn't see that before. Yeah, that's definitely a spot, although there is a house nearby. Following Tunnel Hill, you can see actually railroad tracks are here. Follow Tunnel Hill all the way until the next crossing, and what's interesting is the next crossing is probably the best location to put anything to the creek. You can see at this point the creek has widened significantly. Lots of water, much wider than any other part, and this two boat ramps, probably fairly isolated most of the time, far from any houses or anything actually. There's just a farm up here, probably not within sight. So that would be a prime location. What also makes this location interesting is the fact that there is a train trestle right there. And it's probably the closest spot to put something into the creek that would be most likely to not get washed up along the creek here, all along the creek that we just traced through, flow out and into the river. Now the river flows in this direction, kind of up the screen here. There's Big Creek shoals. The river flows this way. Actually lots of opportunity for things to get washed up along the side. This is a very swampy area. This is a swampy area. All of this little kind of fuzzy looking land, it's all swamp. Lots of reeds, lots of places for things to get caught up in. Huge swamp here, then it goes into the river. And along the river you've got a lot of locations too. This is all swampy, wetland, all along here. Till eventually downriver. There's also some shoals, Jackson's Shoals, and then you've got the dam itself. So the thinking would be that if something was put in to Beech Creek at this location, then you've got all of these spots that some piece of evidence or anything could have gotten caught up in or washed up on all along here and all along here, all the way down the river. The other reason this is probably our starting point as far as looking around Beech Creek is because this is a location that was suggested to us again by that family with some abilities. So I'm going to be going out here, taking a look, at least poking around and seeing what it looks like, if it's possible to get to this train trestle over the river. I'd like to really get down in there on either side, although this looks like private property up here, but maybe over here, get around the swamp, and poke around in there and see what's around the area. This is really, I think this is an initial search in the area. I'm not going to bring a kayak yet. I'm not going to bring much with me except for a shovel and some waders, just to take a look at this area on both sides, and see if I can walk my way through here. But this is going to be a quick trip. I just want to see what it looks like. Then we'll decide what we're going to do. If Jen and I both are going to be doing a little bit of kayaking or boating along this area, and if nothing comes of this area, there are all of the locations all along Beech Creek that are worth searching, probably for anything washed up. What's the likelihood of this happening? There's lots of stories out there about things being found in creeks. Here's, wow, 11 hours ago. That's interesting. Missing person's body recovered in Fall Creek Falls. Missing person found down a 700-foot bluff. Wow, that just happened. That was just reported today. Body found in river at Third Creek Greenway, Knoxville. Jeffrey Dean Mason. Body was found in the river. Let's see if skeletons are found. After 7 years, DNA may help identify human remains in Browns Creek. That was found by volunteers cleaning up a Nashville creek, cleaning up a portion of Browns Creek near Nashville campgrounds, and they found human remains. Which they are looking at using DNA. Chattanooga, skeletal remains found near a Volkswagen plant. Skeletal remains discovered in Sevier County. Bones found in cave near Tennessee River. 2017. Found by a 9-year-old girl. Oh my gosh. Medical examiner, human remains. Sheriff says he believes no one had stumbled upon the skull, teeth, and jawbone until now because that particular cave is a sanctuary for the endangered gray bat. Here's an interesting one. Human remains found in 1985 identified. That's a long time ago. In March 1985, skeletal remains were discovered near a creek bank by a motorist. And a lot of these discoveries seem to be creeks, near creeks, in creeks. Probably because a lot of times things are dumped into creeks and they get washed up. So I think it's a possibility, it's a scenario. Something that we're going to look into. We're going to explore Beech Creek as one avenue of investigation among all of the other things we're doing. We're going to keep returning to a section of it. Now that we're done Lower Run, we have time to kind of do a new, take a new angle on where we're going. So that will be one angle we're going to cover next week. I'm going to go to the location I just mentioned, and we'll see what that looks like, if it's even a possibility. If it's big enough and deep enough that that potential scenario could be the case, and then we'll take it from there. So thanks for listening to this investigation. Hope it wasn't too boring, kind of walking you through the logic of how we choose places. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.